Hi, I'm Rita, and welcome to Rita's Rescues. This is Pumpkin. I rescued her from a local shelter, and I have 2 more rescues at home, plus I foster. So the reason I foster is I save a life every time I foster. Adopting saves the lives of these beautiful animals. 2.7 million animals are euthanized every year. By adopting, you save their life. Fostering, you help them to find families of their own. And I know I hear all the time people saying, I couldn't do that, I never want to let them go. And it is hard, but it's important to know that you're saving a life. And that's why I do it. I love animals. I love saving them. So please think about adopting when you are looking for a pet. Don't shop, adopt. Hi, welcome to Rita's Rescues. I'm Rita, and I am so happy to have you with me today. We've got some great guests here, and I'm hoping to help you understand some options you might have when you want to get away for a few days. I know I have 3 dogs and a cat, and it's really difficult for me to be able to go out of town for any time. So I ran across these great people here today, and they're going to tell you all about Allie's Walkabout. We have Allie Clay and her dad David, and we're really happy to have you here today.
Well, thanks for having us.
And I was so impressed. I saw you all at the Wiener races last year, and I always get really nervous when I board my dogs. I've had some really bad experiences, but I've never heard of a setup like you have. And I'm so impressed to see someone so young involved as much as you are in what you're doing. So, Allie, would you tell us about Allie's Walkabout, a little bit of the history, how it came about?
Sure. Well, it started out, I just wanted to make some money, and my dad told me he wouldn't give me any spending money, so he said, I'll teach you how to make it. And so I made some flyers, and I went around the neighborhood with my brother, and this couple said, come back after we were done. They would pay us to walk their dog, Cody. And that's basically how it started. They started asking us to watch him. And it was just all uphill from there. They started referring their friends and neighbors, and so I started going to their houses, and then we would ask them if they could come to ours. It would just be easier, and people just loved it. And so it's just grown over the past 6 years, so much that now we're looking for a property to buy to move it out of the house.
All right, so your setup is different than everybody else's. Mm-hmm. How?
Well, it's in our home. We don't go to your home. So it's in our home. We treat them just like they were our dogs. We have a fenced-in backyard, so they get to run around. It's kind of like living at a dog park, so
yeah, really.
It's a lot of fun for them.
And how many do you have at one time?
Well, we try to keep it around 20. That's usually just when it is busiest on weekends.
That sounds like a lot.
Yeah, yeah, it just blows me away. I think 20. I have 3, and
well, it's all hands on deck when there's 20.
Yeah. Well, you have some help with it. Yeah.
We just learned how to, it took us a long time. Like 6 years, we've kind of just grown accustomed to it,
Right.
So we've learned how to handle it.
Yeah, and you have two beautiful dogs of your own that are very relaxed here in their TV debut.
I think Nikki's really nervous.
Yeah, Nikki, was all excited when he came in, but he's kind of killed out here, haven't you, Nikki? And who do you have here in your lap?
I have Murphy. He's
Murphy,
a soft coat Wheaten Terrier, and he was actually a client. And then they moved, or were moving, and asked us if we could find him a home. So I said to Allie, I said, we need to help Murphy find a home. She'd worked with several with Frankie's Furry Friends as a rescue and placed several dogs. So I told her, and she said, oh, okay. Then I mentioned it to my wife, and I said, we need to help Murphy find a home. They're moving and can't take him with. She said, Shaggy Murphy? I said, yeah. She goes, well, we'll keep him. Thinking like, we don't have enough dogs in the house. We want another? Okay.
Yeah. Well, I don't blame you. It's beautiful.
Yeah, he's a sweet dog.
So how do they do when you bring in all these dogs? I mean,
he, like, when he first came, he was like the best dog ever. Like, all he wanted to do was play, and he would go in his crate perfectly. He would eat fine, and he was just like really. Oh, we've worked with him on the obedience, but he's gotten really well at that. And Nikki, she's good with small dogs. She just doesn't really like dogs her size because it's her house. Yeah.
Yeah, I think it's a territorial thing.
Yeah.
It's her space.
Yeah.
And but with small dogs or older dogs, typically very gentle with older dogs.
Yeah.
And but by and large, dogs get along fine.
Yeah.
If you introduce them right, give them a chance to do their sniffing and get accustomed to one another, and don't put them in just a shocking set of 3 or 4 dogs that are all trying to get their sniffs in.
Yeah.
We find they get along really well. And the few dust-ups that we have are normally just, I'm bigger than you kind of stuff. It's almost like, 6th grade boys on the playground kind of stuff.
Yeah.
More than actual trying to hurt each other.
Well, my dachshund is, only this big, but she's one of those I'm bigger than you are kind of dogs. So do you have issues with that if they have a little snippy, maybe territorial dog? Do you have any problems? How do you deal with that?
A lot of times we'll get customers, and that's exactly what they say. And it's not that we don't believe them. I'm sure that's how they are with their customers. But when they come into a new territory and with new people, new smells, you can't really have a big I'm better than you. This is my spot. Leave me alone.
Good
So
point.
there's very few dogs that actually act that out, and usually they're either just where am I, or they're used to coming here, so they're yeah, this is my house.
Yeah.
Or when we have had dogs that have just not gotten along, we tell customers all the time, your dog will get as much freedom as their behavior affords them. It's kind of like children, the better behaved they are, the more freedom they'll have. And if they don't get along well, then we'll just kind of rotate out. It becomes a bit of a dance. Where, okay, these two, they don't get along, so let's put one of them in the front room. One will be outside, and as that one from outside comes in, then we'll rotate the one inside out. Where you going, Murph? So you really do have to just become attuned to the dogs and how they're feeling, and are they stressed? And you can see the stress level if it's there. And you just respond to it and take the stress away, whatever the stress is.
Yeah. So tell me about a typical day, from feeding, do people bring their own food? Do you supply food?
Yeah.
How does that work?
We always have this question. It's probably the biggest question is, what do I bring? Really, all we really need is a bed or a blanket and their food. We have bowls and, toys and treats, but, really that's all they need to, still feel at home and not get their stomachs too much in a twist. And a regular day would usually go from about 7 to 8, and we wake up at 7, let all the dogs out, let them do their business in the morning. Then we separate everybody for breakfast, and that's around 7:30. And then we let them back out around 8, and they're out till nap time, which is around 12 or 1 o'clock. And then they're down for about 2 hours. Depending on the day, it might be 2 nap times, because sometimes.
That is so cute.
Yeah, I
Nap
know.
time for the dog.
Yeah.
Well, to be
And
honest,
the
it's for us.
adults.
But it does help them. We
Yeah.
found that it's made a
Yeah.
huge difference in not only the fatigue level, but just the way they get along with one another.
Yeah, I'm
You know,
sure.
they're like small kids. If they're overtired, they're cranky, and they don't take play well, and then when they are well rested, they do far better.
What do you mean small kids? When I'm tired, I'm real cranky. So I get the napping part. So this is really great. I want to talk to you more. We're going to come back in a few minutes.
Okay.
And we'll have a lot more Rita's Rescues with David and Allie from Allie's Walkabout. We'll be right back.
He's Scooter, he's neuter, and the coolest cat you will see. He always struts, he's got no nuts, and that's why he never sprays his pee. He's not spraying. Other felines are so mean, not the cats without their jelly bean. Be cool. He's Scooter, the neutered cat.
Find spay and neuter options as low as $20 at GiveThem10.org.
Hello, we're back and we're talking with Allie from Allie's Walkabout and her dad, David Clay. And I want to hear more about the family situation. I mean, it's not just you and Allie.
Right.
You've had a whole family that's working together to do this.
Yeah.
And I think that is really impressive. So tell me, about your wife and your son and how they help out with what you're doing.
Well, we all have our role. My wife, Mary, she is predominantly bookkeeping, accounting. We tease and call her the duct tape that holds it all together. Scheduling goes through Mary. She and I both do it. Simeon, actually on his business cards, is the title Poo Wrangler. So he's the guy that picks up all the poo in the backyard. And we all do that. There's plenty of it to go around, but he takes care of that primarily. And then our oldest daughter, Audrey, who's living out of the home now but comes back 2 or 3 days a week to help. And her boyfriend, Wheeler, actually comes as well and helps with the dogs.
Wow. So you can only take so many at a time. So you've had, up to 20 in your house?
I think our peak was this summer. Didn't we have a weekend where we had like 32 or 34? And it was one of those weekends where we had several regulars call that had been with us for years.
Yeah.
And you hate to say no to a regular.
Yeah.
Right.
And it's like, okay, well, they're a small dog. It wasn't like we have one Mastiff that comes, and he's, to me, it's the greatest dog name ever. His name is Megatron. And but Tron comes on a regular basis. But this particular weekend, we had several small dogs that, hey, we're taking a weekend trip. Can you watch so-and-so for us? Yeah. And we try as best we can not to refuse anybody, especially a regular.
Yeah. So I heard you say earlier when we were talking that you have training with CPR, and that probably is something that people don't realize. There's CPR for animals.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, we didn't really know about it either.
Yeah.
And then we heard it from another business that kind of has the same idea as us. And so we decided to take the class, and so it's something that will make customers feel like more at ease when they're dropping their dogs off.
Oh, yeah.
So we did learn a lot too. So we haven't had to use any of it yet, but it's always good to have.
Right. And a lot of animals are on medication. So what do you do about that?
Well, I am, and my brother is both type 1 diabetic. So we're kind of, we know most of the ideas of either giving them pills is actually probably the easiest thing. We've actually had one diabetic dog that came, and we had to give her shots and every meal she had, and which was, he said that he hadn't gone on vacation for 7 years. Wow. Just
Caring
because,
for his dog.
Yeah.
So he was really happy to find us, and now we've had them a couple of times, and it's really not, it hasn't seemed like that hard of a thing to deal with.
No, there is an extra charge for it, but it's because there's more involved in administering meds. We have some dogs, they'll bring their Sunday through Saturday little dispenser with the meds that they have, whatever it is they're taking. Yeah. And most, by and large, it's pretty easy. You can just put it in with the food. Some you have to hand feed the meds, but either way, we're okay.
Yeah.
So have you ever had any instances where, dogs have gotten into fights or gotten hurt, and how do you deal with that?
Well, we have had tangles. It's mostly over like a bone or a ball or something. So if we see that a dog is getting like their tail just like stops wagging, just like straight up, then usually we'll either separate them from the dogs or take away whatever they have in their mouth. Sometimes it's just a stick, and we can't really avoid that. I wouldn't say we've ever had too too much of a problem with it. It's
Yeah.
just mostly just showing them like leave me alone, you know.
Yeah.
Well, and the biggest thing is for us to maintain the alpha position in the pack, so that dogs see us as the alpha in the backyard or in the kitchen or whatever. And she's exactly right. As the tail goes, so goes the dog. So as you see their tail fix or it hit a certain position that the body is really stiff, what we're looking for is a loose body, a playful body. There's a thing called the play bow, where you'll see a dog kind of flop down on its front haunches. Those are the kinds of things we look for, and if we see a real stiff body, we're much more attentive to being around the few dogs that are around until they loosen up. And then once they loosen up, it's playtime.
Yeah, yeah. So what do you do for vacation? How do you...
I'm sorry, it sounded like you said vacation there for a moment.
You don't. That's what you do.
Our vacations are off season. So through the summer, in fact, Allie was asked this question in a radio interview the other day about, what do you do for free time? She said, well, summertime is my time to work. If I don't get to see my friends during the summer, that's tough. And we guard that, her mom and I, to try to make sure she at least has a little bit of time with friends on a Friday night or Saturday night or a sleepover, stuff like that. But what do you think?
Well, I usually get to go to like a youth camp or go on, like I went on spring break with my sister and our friend. So if I do go out of town, it's usually just me, and then we'll have to like hire somebody else to come and stay with my family. Other times, like, we will just try and limit the dogs that we have, so then we can go on vacation without having to worry about.
Right.
We're eyeballing a week in January right now where it looks like we're going to be a little low on dogs, so maybe we'll steal away.
Yeah. So what I'm hearing you say then is you have a home where you take the animals in, they lay and watch TV with you at night, they play out in the yard. Now, all three of mine sleep with me. So how does that work? And the wieners, like to burrow, and they want to be under the covers, and they're my little heating pads. So, well,
you want to take this? It depends on the dog. What we find, by and large, is that what happens at home isn't necessarily. It's almost like they become bonded with you, not just being in bed. And so, but that said, like the Mastiff I was talking about earlier, there are mornings I'll wake up and he'll be in bed with my son, and my son will be slammed up against the wall because Tron does much better in Simeon's. He's about 180 pounds. Tron does much better in Simeon's room than he does in a crate. And so we accommodate that. We figure that out. There's dogs that'll stay in Allie's room. And many times I find that she'll sneak one in bed with her instead of leaving it in the crate.
Really, Allie? So what about accidents in the house? I bet you have all hardwood floors.
We actually, we don't have any carpet. We started out with the carpet, and
that doesn't work.
Yeah, it slowly fell away. So we do have hardwoods in most of our house, but we try and limit most of the dogs, besides when they sleep with us, just to the living room and kitchen. And we have tile floors in the kitchen, so it makes it pretty simple for things like that. But other than that, it's something we're gonna have to deal with. It's not something we can prevent. So,
so we just are disappointed we didn't invest more in paper towels before we started the business.
Really?
Yeah.
So, what do you think the future holds for Allie's Walkabout?
Well,
what are
he
your
has
ideas?
A lot of big ideas. Probably mostly just trying to. I want to get it out of Kentucky, Ohio, Indiana. I want to make it nationwide.
25 by 25. That's the goal. 25 units of Allie's Walkabout with our standard of care by 2025.
Wow.
Because what we find, there's a lot of great places and a lot of great people here in our region. They don't necessarily, when I say they don't care for the dogs the way we do, doesn't mean they don't take good care.
Oh, I agree. Yeah.
But they just care for them differently.
Right.
And we think our standard of care is a very unique proposition. And so our goal is to just spread that throughout the region, throughout really wherever the Lord leads us. If He decides He wants it nationwide, it'll be nationwide. If He decides it's going to be regionally or locally, that's fine too.
Yeah. That's amazing. I am just so psyched about what you all are doing.
Well, thank you.
And I'm really happy you came and joined us and let people know that, you know, this is available. We have a lot of great boarding places around the greater Cincinnati area, but all are different.
Yep.
And so thank you for coming and bringing your little dogs that are sound asleep
Yeah,
over
they're
there. They left us.
Well, if any of your viewers would want to learn more about Allie's Walkabout, they can go to her website, which is allieswalkabout.com. And it's ALLIES, allieswalkabout.com. Certainly they can call us as well if they have questions. We invite people to come and visit so they can see where their dog will stay.
Oh, really?
Oh,
Great.
sure. We want them to feel at ease with bringing, it's a family member, you know? Come on, Nick.
Murphy. Come on.
Come on, Murph.
Murphy.
Come say goodbye.
Come on, Murph.
Here, Murphy. Okay. Well, thank you for joining us for another episode of Rita's Rescues. And I hope you tune in and watch us all month long. And we shall see you next time. And thank you all so much.
Thank you, Rita.
Problem.
All right. Bye now.